Hello there, and welcome back to War Thunder, to a rather unusual video in terms of its pattern and content compared to my other videos. I begin the battle in the M26 Ariete, which is currently the highest battle rating premium tank for the Italians, and I will talk about this later, as well as the Italian CAS later on, and also another method of gaining vast amounts of silver lines, or at least there being a potential, and that has to do with combined arms. So I ranted in the past a lot about aircraft ruining it, and I was very much looking at those planes that were just a pain in the butt. Something like the P-8 that was nuking tanks across the map, the Fritz X that sank my precious and very expensive light cruisers even with near misses. So the majority of games that I had where I had a good run were very often ended by an aircraft, in tanks and also in ships. So I don't really never was advocating here planes. However, I think it is a part of the game. It will not go away anytime soon. I have to deal with it. Mostly I was perfecting the art of avoiding them. But I also featured in the past one video where I said anti-CAS, how to anti-CAS. And I was featuring, I think, the A7, the Japanese premium plane, if I'm not mistaken. But here about the topic. I begin the battle with the M26 Ariete. I was thinking about making probably a tank review with it, try to get some footage, just seeing how it goes, and you will see how the battle goes. It's self-explanatory. I don't really need to comment that much, but let's talk about then Italian planes. So I was on the dev server, and this is where I need to now fight multiple things. First of all, I bled through over 30 million silver lines on the dev server itself, and that would bring me under 90 million, close to 83 million silver lines, and that's unacceptable for me. I already cheaped out a little bit on the last patch with not going for the helicopters because they are just not of my interest. But going back to the topic, I need money anyways for the light cruisers, not even really talking about the jets, but also the Italian tanks. Now, when we talk about Italian tanks, I can make reviews all the time, but a lot of people are obviously interested in lineups, are interested in combined arms, combined forces, and so we need to look at the potential of the Italians as a whole tech tree, as an entire source of lineups, and also in this case making money. So getting footage, making money, and getting some experience back, playing something that I haven't played in a while. I think, you know, it converts here on the G.55, which is a fantastic plane, and also here on the M26 Ariete. So we reload, and I'm quite sure that I get here the kill, but it bounces then. Great success, and I'm like, what the hell? And he shoots me through the smoke. This player was so annoying. I mean, you can have a bad battle any day of the week, you know. It happens to me as well. Currently, I'm working here on my fail and win compilation, and tell me, oh boy, have I forgotten about stuff. Throughout the patches, I have acquired some footage. So keep tuned for that. But it will take a few days and weeks to finalize it. That brings me now to the CAS potential of the Italians, and the majority they are dealing in is in fighters. Yes, some of them have some small bombs like 100 kilograms. They also got recently the Henschel 129B2, aka the Duck, the Romanian that has been taken away from the German tech tree to purchase, and there is not that much that is equipped with bombs, you know. I mean, there is the Breeder 88 with 3 100 kilogram bombs, but they're heavy bombers, you know, with the Nimish 102mm gun. It's practically useless. It's just a big, you know, target. I'm not talking here about jets, but I also want to point out that maybe it's the anti-CAS role. And this is where the G.55S comes in. listen, the German 20mm by themselves are not bad, and we'll see how they will work in this battle very well later on. Also, I have to say that, you know, you're mostly facing here the British and the Americans, and they are very keen on bringing in CAS. A lot of people just play tanks to bring in CAS. So there is that. Being on the receiving end is not nice. But maybe you could use it to farm those guys. As I said, I made a video in the past about it a long time ago, called anti-CAS, going in a plane and farm those planes. Now, usually if I want to play tanks, I play tanks and I don't play it for the combined arms aspect. But now I want to just expand here on how to gain money, how to have a bit of a different experience for myself that I might not have given that much chance in the past because of being annoyed. I'm not one of those guys that, you know, sees, oh, I get constantly destroyed by this tank, that plane, I need to get it myself. I'm mostly then looking at the balance aspect, and mostly it just terrifies me how far off it is, just for Gaijin to make here the big, quick money grab. But I digress. When Gaijin actually offers something that is balanced, I call it out as being balanced and recommend it. And somebody that has true interest in the long-term success of the game will go for that. I know it's a stupid argument, but nevertheless, it's there. Hello there, little cupola. What the hell was that? Oh well, I was destroyed. So, a quick magic cut, and we are in the air. I have here the G.55S equipped because it's a good money maker. It has 2 bombs, it has 20mm, it's a premium plane, it has also low repair costs, which is, you know, if you look at some of the other Italian planes that are ranging between 20 and 30,000 silver lines, you think twice if you go into, you know, the anti-CAS role, or if you go into battle with it. If they're truly overperforming, I think to myself, well, again, balancing them with, I don't know, high repair costs, I don't know. Let's see the 20mm in action. There is a, well, there was a ZSU-37, and we detonated his ammunition in the back of the turret. Open-top vehicle hitting the ammunition either with a mine shell or with an armor-piercing, or armor-piercing incendiary to be more precise. That is sweet. There is a tank, I mark him, he moves forwards, I predict it, I drop the bomb, 2-second delay. Oh, beautiful, beautiful. And this is how we took out a Sherman. Pretty dangerous tank, to be honest. And that is a double kill, just like this. So, what's missing in the mixture? An SPA? A tank? What about planes? Well, we have to see. Now, playing a plane in Tank RB, you can fulfill multiple roles, and you are somewhat then of a match manager for your tanks on the ground. You are the eye in the sky, and you know, have you seen that? Single shot firing on this tank, so he gets marked on the map. Even though the minimap on the mini map that we have as a plane is not the same as on the ground, you still can approximately zoom in and then mark the tank, and that is very important. So here I should have aimed a little bit higher, and then I might have gotten an assist on the PT-76B. If you go then for the armor piercing belt, it's not really good for the 20mm on the German planes. I think the Americans have just more punch. They also have better muzzle velocity, and you have more ammunition, especially when I think here about the Bearcats or the F6F with the 20mm. And that is that a slugger? And we already, well, I taste some blood, or rather some oil. So let's observe this guy and let's see where he goes. I think if you play it intelligently, you can just mark the tanks that are about to flank, so you can counter light tanks hard in their overall gameplay. And you can also counter here heavy tanks in distracting them in a critical situation. If you're really good, rob them of their vision and so forth. So there is a plane. and he goes head on with me. It's always risky to do these maneuvers, and that looked like a Yak-9T with the single shot firing. However, there are multiple aircraft in the air, and suddenly, you know, despite the Yak-9T being a great fighter, and, you know, Russians at low altitude are good, I'm Italian. And those spaghetti hit home hard. Al dente, so to say. Okay, all the bad work jokes, I don't apologize for them. You know what you're getting into if you have subscribed to me. So I see some movement on the ground. It is also interesting if you rewatch footage that oh, watch this. Yes, 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 yes. This is the magic of high explosive versus an open top vehicle. Okay, back to the topic. It's very interesting if you watch your own footage, if you watch your own recordings and replays, that sometimes you see stuff, even though I think of myself as a player that has great situational awareness and quite a bit of experience. I have to say that does not automatically make you, you know, a double ace game player for every single game. There are always so many factors in War Thunder that are not, you know, that are different and difficult to calculate with. So here the enemy tank camps and we mark him. He's not open topped, and so I avoid it. So I heard some whooshing by, and I'm desperately looking out for him, and then I see some explosions. I saw just a pixel of contrast, and there he is. He did not see me, and then the great handling, the absolute awesome, I don't know, flight model, the absolutely awesome controllability of the plane, which makes it so different from German planes in my opinion. Say what you want, but the Italians, they just fit like a glove. They fit like a real glove. This is what makes them so great. So back to the topic. Yeah, I think there are so many factors that you can't calculate with from the beginning, or that are different to pinpoint down. There are so many people. Do they spawn in what do they spawn in, when do they spawn in, who is going for what is your team doing. But you can definitely increase the chances of succeeding if you see a tank and you just mark him, you know. If you keep an eye open on the sky and also on the ground. SPA is a counter for you, yes, but if there are multiple planes, then, you know, you have to always see it like this. SPA playing is as dangerous and difficult as playing a plane, in theory, because the plane has to watch out for SPA, and the SPA has to watch out for planes. So there is a counter going on, in theory. Depends on which plane you are facing, which SPA. Not talking here about the radar guided SPA, just, you know, sub high tier. Oh, that looked good, but it was absolutely pointless. And there we get some critical hits in. I see that I'm down on ammunition, just the central gun is there, and this is where I go now back to the airfield and rearm, refuel, and slightly repair. Sometimes the level of detail in War Thunder is really great, I have to admit this. So again, we have two bombs, and you know, those are small 100 kilogram bombs, but if you just drop them under a tank, no matter what tank it is, it blows up. So precision bombing, you know, it's not one of those big bombs that you drop somewhere, like with the Sky Raider, you know, the 2000ers, the 1000ers, and so forth. No, this is a very light bomb load, and you need skill to really drop it successfully. And I think in this role the G.55S is also a very good fighter. So it is similar to the very old, or not the old, Griffin days, when they were like going in with their rockets, the RP3s, wrecking stuff, and then also cleaning the sky. Obviously, it was no wonder that they got so popular, and Gaijin eventually had to deal with them in one way or another, and to downtune them to acceptable level. Okay, so I observe here the kill count, and the KV-85 was about to make a rampage, and it was stopped by Tiger 1. Yes. the thing is this, the KV-85 was a very dangerous tank because late game, if you bring something in that is very combat efficient, that has armor and a proper gun, you can harvest the SPAs and you can also dominate lower tier tanks that are just not up to the task of dealing with you easily. So late game has its own dynamic. Late games have their own rules, and so I think I have to admit something. Very often I don't care about late game because it's pre-decided. There are no more kills for me to gain. There is nothing left that I could do efficiently. But at the end of the day, one has to wonder how big the impact is one person can have if it's right on the edge. If there are just like 6 versus 6 or 3 versus 3, okay? When it comes together, the combination of tanks on the ground, aircraft as eyes in the sky, also in the anti-CAS role, protecting each other, communicating is very important. I think this is also something where there are all those mini decisions where you just get the info. Does A get capped? What's going on? The information from the minimap, from the tag, from the chat, from the markings on the field. And watch this. 2-second delay. Beautiful, beautiful. That was a KV-85. Again, a very dangerous tank. It must be, if that was the same guy that was previously killed by the Tiger, it must be absolutely annoying that he basically for nothing wasted here a backup. If that backup is for free, that's not a big deal, but if it is a backup that you pay for, that's just... This is so annoying that I never really bothered using backups. Even though I would have a decent amount of golden eagles per month to do so, but it's just something that internally, not internally, so in my thoughts, this is a thought that I can't stand. There are some things that just repel me from using them. Loot boxes, backups, many things for various different reasons. Back to the topic on the plane. So you can see I'm circling around, I'm observing the sky, I'm just figuring out stuff, looking on the leaderboard, and just again trying to communicate, watch out, spot the dot, spot some movement on the ground, and try my best. And currently there are 2 tanks that go for A. Now if they both go for A, they can be flanked from all directions. The enemy knows where they currently are, and they can look in the sky and say, okay, we have here I think 3 aircraft, there are 5 players left, so there must be 2 tanks left at last, and one is capping, so at least one of them is in A. That is just an amount of information that is very critical in your decision making, that is very critical in how to approach the enemies. However, the Tiger E continues his rampage versus a KV-1. Historically accurate fight, comrade. But honestly, that is very important. You need to cut down the amount of players and also concentrate here on their dangerous tanks. That looks like another KV-85. I'm out of bombs, but here is the question. Should I return to the airfield to actually, rearm a bomb and try my luck? Or should I bail out and go into another aircraft? It is always a decision. Do I want to make money? Do I think that I can stay in the aircraft and then later on, if I go in with a bomber, nuke that one tank and he goes then in the plane and revenge kills me? There are so many things that you cannot foresee. Maybe another of your teammates has the same idea. So if you have this plan, communicate it to your team. And the decent to good players read also chat. That obviously, they need to be able to read. And I'm not saying this, calling out people stupid, but there is the problem of communication. If people don't write in English, if people don't write with Greek letters, if they Cyrillian, I think it's Cyrillian letters, correct me if I'm wrong, and I cannot be bothered to, hop onto Google Translator and try to type it in one way or the other, since copy-paste from War Thunder outside is not possible as far as I know. Inside War Thunder, Gaijin makes it very effective, but that's a different topic. So here we are, and I observe here my team, how they cap, and I have lost actually here the KV-85, but then I saw a glimpse of him. He also was marked, and the second I marked him, he was actually killed by the Do 335. So that was amazing teamwork, covering multiple angles, following. Even if one of your teammates makes a mistake, that doesn't mean that he is useless. In fact, you need to support him. Maybe he will save you from another fighter in the next engagement. So teamwork is very critical, and I think this was now a very new experience for me. Now this is now the game about to end. We captured a point and the points are ticking down. So the question is, was this time investment worth it? I'm looking here at a battle of roughly 21 minutes. That is a decent air battle as well. Previously I swore on air RB, it's still valid, but this is now without a booster, without a wager, without anything, and we made 135,000 silver lines and just under 18,000 research points, and we get a nice bonus from Gaijin of 90,000 silver lines. Oh god, the comments by people that got triggered by that. That was just a coincidence. Or I cheated. Or didn't I? Or did I? Okay, let's just now have a look at what did I actually earn with what. So what was from the tank, what was from the plane. 20,000 for 2 air kills, that's worth a lot of money. Then also for the 4 tank kills I got 18,000 silver lines, but for 3 tank kills with the tank I only got 10,000 silver lines. So you can see the massive discrepancy between killing something with an aircraft and killing with a tank. Both tanks and planes have here respectively the highest modifier respectively. And I think that was actually a proper game. Now, if you're good, you can combine this with a silver line booster and also with the wagers, as I said, and also here with the orders. The anti-mech order for tanks is very viable if you have a sealed clubbing tank. So that's finally it for me today. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening. Please give this video a like, give it a subscribe if you want to see more, and we'll see each other in the skies, on the waves, and on the battlefields of War Thunder.